तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां दयाकरं दयाकारं दान्तं धर्मप्रवर्तकं प्रणमामि सयानन्दं मदाचार्यवरं परम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्मविद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च। In the last session, we saw how the Atma, in the form of Satchidanandam Brahma, Jagat Karanam Brahma, in its capacity as the truth of everything and in its capacity as Ishvara, the Karana of everything, fills up all the names and forms, like even gold fills up the ornament. The ornament is nothing but gold. At least the pot has a hole here, but for the gold, the ornament is nothing but gold. But because of Atma Ajnanam, gold is seen, even in our relative example, gold is seen as what? As a attribute to the ornament. Golden chain. And what kind of bangle? Golden bangle. Golden bracelet. Golden nose ring. Golden earring. So gold is seen as an adjective. This is Ajnanam. This is exactly how Ajnanam plays out, because the Atma is seen as adjectival to the name and form, but actually what is it? It's the substantive. And the name and form is the adjective. So it should not be golden chain. What should it be? Chainy gold. Ringy gold. Bangly gold. But if you go outside the ashram and talk like that, they will take your temperature. Yeah. But that is the reality. That is the reality we are studying here. Chainy gold, ringy gold, bangly gold. It's all gold. Gold is the substantive. Chain is the ornamentation, pun intended, connected to the gold, adjectival to gold. Gold in the form of chain, gold in the form of ring, etc. So here also it's not that the Parvata and the Nadyaha and then all these other things we saw, Vritam and Yajna, Hota, Vedi, all these are adjectives to the Atma. The Atma is the substantive, they are adjectival to the Atma. Atma is the substantive, and these are all adjectives. They are not it's not that the Atma is an adjective to or an adjunct to all of them. So this is what we saw. And then further, in the next verse, third verse. So, ऊर्ध्वं प्राणमुन्नयति अपानं प्रत्यगस्यति मध्ये वामनमासीनं विश्वे देवा उपासते. And introducing this, Adi Shankara says, Atmanah Swarupa Adhigame Lingam Uchyate. So Lingam is Lingyate Anena iti Lingam. So Lingyate Anena. By this something else is ascertained. So Atmanah Swarupa Adhigame. So this Swarupa, to Nirdharane, to understand, to ascertain the Swarupa of the Atma, the subtle signs of the presence of Atma in a given sentient name and form, such as the body mind sense complex, is herewith presented in a simple way so that we can understand. And if the Kathopanishad had continued, it would have said not only chakshushas chakshuhu, shrotrasya shrotram, but what else would it have said? Sharirasya shariram. That is exactly what is talked about here. It is that which makes the body animated. If so, through the unique presence of Atma. So here it is what? Pranatmana vartate. It is in the form, the Atma is in the form of what? Prana. Atma in the form of prana animates this body, which is just a bunch of molecules, and then we see that this prana is also not sentient by itself. Is prana sentient by itself? No. Why? Same reason why the body is not sentient. Why is the body not sentient? It has come from insentient gross elements. Why is the prana not sentient? It has come from insentient subtle elements. Very good. So therefore the prana is not sentient, and this is a very peculiar thing. That is why this mantra is given, because if the prana is not sentient by itself, then the prana has a very high place in the body. You know, put a clothespin here and another one here, okay? And then what will happen? The agitation we will see. And because it feels like the Atma itself is going. When the prana is going, what does it appear? That life itself, the sentiency itself is leaving. And so, again we go back to the Samhata argument. So, this whole body is for whom? For the Atma to reside. And the Atma gives it a sentiency in two ways. One is through the buddhi, mind, whatever you want to call it, which is the Sukshma Karana. Through the Sukshma Karana, which is capable of allowing itself to be blessed by consciousness. Consciousness, Chit. And so the consciousness that as though obtains in the mind, in the buddhi, is called what? Chidabhasa. Abhasa means that which looks like Chit, sounds like Chit, behaves like Chit, but is not Chit. That is called Abhasa. So it is not Chit. Of course it is Chit, but it's like if we have a blank wall, this is the content of the 8th chapter of the Panchadashi. If we have a blank wall and then you have a little small mirror and you do mirror play. And so the sunlight shining on the mirror lights up on the wall, and if supposing your friend also has one mirror, you can have a little old-fashioned ancient disco. You can have a play of mirrors. My mirror, my light is going to eat up your light. Your light is coming to get me. Like this, you can just play. Children do that all the time. And so, one thing that is forgotten in all of this is what? We can take the mirror light to be seen as a linga, and then we forget what? The light that lights up the wall. If the light was not there to light up the wall, then if the sunlight was not there, then the sunlight would not light up the wall, would neither light up the wall, nor would it light up what? The mirror. Then you would be playing in the dark. So therefore, see, the sunlight, which is called Chit, it is everywhere. It shines without any limits. It is everywhere in all forms, but the Chit that obtains in a particular body mind sense complex, seen quote unquote, evidenced through the buddhi and the mind, is what? Chidabhasa. And so here also the Chidabhasa blesses the prana with a borrowed sentiency, and then the prana animates the body. Okay, more about that later. So this is a very nice shloka about just simple breathing. So what happens in breathing? Urdhvam pranam unnayati. So the prana is here. The prana here means the respiration. The air has been taken in. Urdhvam, upward. This Atma, the presence of this Atma in the body, mind, sense complex, what does it do? Urdhvam unnayati. Forces the person to exhale. Prak gamanavan vayuhu pranaha iti uchyate. Definition of prana. Then apanam pratyak asyati. And then it makes the fellow inhale. Pratyak means right, inward. So then the inward vayu takes the air within the body, and the outward vayu, which is called prana, it's a little ulta because we think prana is inhalation kind of, because it comes first. And then what do we do first? Inhale and then exhale, because you can't exhale if you haven't inhaled. It's in our mind, logically, inhalation should come first, but this is confusing because this is how the Shastra sees it. The Shastra talks about prana. Prana in general means pancha prana, that's different. But here prana separately talked about. What does it mean? It means exhalation. And then apana means inhalation. So this inhalation and exhalation, that which permits the inhalation and exhalation, that which has set up this law of respiration is what? Separate from the law. This Sat is separate from the law. Back we are to the verse number 1, the shloka number 1, Samhata argument. So the prana, this well ventilated body is put together for who? Who is the prana for? The indweller of the city. So that is not put together. Who, and also most importantly, not only is the indweller, the Atma, not put together. The Atma does not need to be breathing in order to be alive. Very important. The body needs to be breathing in order to be alive, and the mind also needs to be breathing. The mind is needing to be breathing in order to be alive. Senses need air, oxygen in order to be alive. But Atma does not need to be breathing. How do we know this? Because in meditation, which we are not doing these days, because there is a lot to, there is a third of the Upanishad to complete. And so the meditation, what do? We observe the breath. The fact that I can observe the breath means what? Means I don't need to breathe. The breath is part of the samhata, shariram. So this breath is what? Samhata. Is put together for the sake of the Deva within. And the Deva within, who obtains in the form of the Sakshin, when I observe the breath, does not need to breathe while being alive. In order to be alive, in order to be sentient. The body's sentiency is dependent upon prana, and the mind's sentiency is dependent upon the prana, because it's all a assemblage. Now the assemblage is being breathed life into it by what? Same Atma which is about to occupy it, or which occupies it, which is not part of the assemblage, has nothing to do with the assemblage. It's just like adding HVAC system, ventilation in a house. Sometimes, the house also breathes. These modern houses, they will say that, there is, what is that called? Those black things come, no, in the winter, in the rains. Mold. The mold, one more is that, mildew, mold and all. It is prevented because the house has a contraption where it forces in air and then takes out air. It is called HVAC system. So the in-breath, out-breath for us also is like an HVAC system. It is for the comfort of not the house but the home owner, Puraswami. And so therefore this arrangement is talked about here because this is central. I think if I can't breathe, I am dead. You are not dead. Why? You are Atma. What dies? Body dies. And after the body dies, what do we say? He or she has breathed their last. They have breathed their last. And after breathing the last, what happens? You don't want to go near that body at all. If you see the dead body, at least in the Hindu dharma, you go home and take a bath. After attending the funeral, you go home and take a bath from head to toe, you take a bath. And so, that means what? It has become ashaucha. Why? Because the medium of animation, which is what? Prana, which is dependent upon what? The mirror-like mind, which is Chidabhasa, which is borrowing the Chit from Satchidananda Atma and then lending it to the Prana, that Sukshma Sharira assemblage has departed. Udana Vayu has said, friends, pack up. And then all the pranas pack up their suitcases because it's time to leave. Along with the prana leaves the mind, because it is also part of what? Sukshma Sharira. It is part of Sukshma Shariram. Along with the Buddhi. Buddhi is also what? Sukshma Sharira. All of them leave. And leave what? This gross body, they just abandon and leave. And the body starts to immediately rot. That's why it has to be disposed of immediately. You cannot keep on keeping the body there. It has to be disposed of immediately. So the body is not the sentient principle here. Neither is the mind, much less the prana, because all of them we can observe. And here we are asked to observe, simply observe the respiration, and the respiration becomes a wonderful medium to bring in all this discussion. So, urdhvam pranam unnayati, apanam pratyag asyati. So, there is first the exhalation described, and then there is what else described? Inhalation is described. Now, who is this inhalation, exhalation for? Madhye vamanam asinam. Vamana doesn't mean dwarf. Yeah, because we go back to that story. Which story? The avatara of Vishnu, where he went as a small dwarf. So we can't say dwarf, it is not politically all right. So what should we say? Little person. So he went as a little person, and the little person, 2.5 feet, and asked King Bali. And who was the King Bali? King Bali was a great king, and also, but he had ahankara. He had ahankara. What was the ahankara connected to? The ahankara was connected to the fact that he was a great giver. And usually people who are great givers, if they are not enlightened, are giving out of compensation or overcompensating for the love they did not get. Like who? Karna in the Mahabharata. Karna also, he was neither here nor there. He felt like a prince, but he was forced to play with the charioteer's children. And then he could neither fit here nor fit there. And in order to gain approval and love, which was denied to him because his mother abandoned him in babyhood, what did he become? The greatest giver, because that became his identity. And similarly, here also, King Bali was a great giver. And Vishnu thought he will give him a Vedanta lesson, a demonstration, demonstrated Vedanta lesson. So he went and said, I am just a poor Brahmana, came with a little dhoti, shawl and a tiny umbrella. That is how Vamana is depicted. I am a tiny fellow. Can I have 3 footprints of land? Bali laughed to himself. He was too polite to laugh outwardly, but inwardly he laughed. He said, sure, take it. I mean, he thought it was a very strange thing to ask. He only is 2.5 feet. His foot is what, 6 inches each. And then 3 feet means 18 inches of land he will take. When suddenly this so-called dwarf, little person, became a huge cosmic person. 1 foot covered the entire earth, another foot covered antariksha, means all the other lokas swallowed. He said, where will I put? You have promised 3 feet. Bali knew exactly what was happening. He said, this is the only place left. This head always stands for ahankara. How do we know? How many heads did Ravana have? That's how we know. Ahankara. So this ahankara was made to go to the nether world, where he became an enlightened leader finally, an enlightened king. So therefore the ahankara has to be pushed to the nether world. The teaching here is that in order to get this knowledge, the ahankara cannot be in the picture. So there also Vamana doesn't mean dwarf, little person, etc. What does it mean? Vananiyam. Vananiyah. So this madhye Vamanam Asinam. So we have to change that Vamana in our minds to Varenyah, Vananiyah. Madhya means where? In the heart. In the seat of the heart there is Bhagavan. For the Bhagavan, this well-ventilated body. Oh, but Bhagavan is not in the dead body? Yes, Bhagavan is also there in the dead body. But because of Sukshma Sharira Abhava, Bhagavan is not sensed in the dead body. Whereas in a respiring body, in a breathing, thinking body, Bhagavan is sensed. So the breathing is not for the sake of the body, the breathing is for the sake of the what? Bhagavan. So Vishve Deva means all the sense organs powered by prana, arpitaha. Arpitaha means they live to serve this Bhagavan. Madhye Vamanam. Vamanam, second case, Vamanam Asinam. Asinam, seated. So for this Bhagavan, this chosen one, the most Vananiyam, the most worshipful one, seated in the middle of the heart, for that this worshipful one, all the 5 pranas, all the 5 indriyas. What kind of indriyas? Sense organs. All the 5 karmendriyas. Everything is for the sake of who? This Bhagavan alone. Vishve Devaha Upasate. Upasate, second conjugation. Second conjugation verbs, all the plural looks like singular. So don't be confused. Upaste, upasate, upasate. Okay. So upasate, plural. All of them worship. Worship the most worshipful one. So, this is, the body is inert. The mind is inert because they are made up of inert, what is that? Matter. What is the matter? 5 elements. Okay. And so the borrowed sentiency, borrowed from the Atma, so to speak, the buddhi gets lighted up like even what? The sun in the mirror in our earlier example. And so then, where is it? Where is this seat of the mind? In the heart. The sanctum sanctorum of this temple. Bhashyam. Urdhvam hridayat pranam pranavrittim vayum unnayati urdhvam gamayati. Yeah. So, urdhvam means hridayat urdhvam, upwards from the heart region. The heart means here lungs. From the heart region means where the lungs are. Pranavrittim, the activity of prana, which is what? Vayum unnayati, takes this vayu upward. Takes this vayu to respirate, to exhale. Tatha, in the same manner, apanam pratyak adhaha asyati kshipati. Yeah. So throws the inhalation, back to the lungs, back to the heart region. Kshipati yaha iti vakya sheshaha. So that yaha must be added because that yaha, the one who is missing, so yaha iti vakya sheshaha. So then, tam madhye hridaya pundarika akashe asinam buddhi avyabhivyakta vijnana prakasham vamanam sambhajaniyam vishve sarve devaha chakshuradayah pranaha रूपादि विज्ञानम बलिम उपहरन्तः विषः इव राजानम उपासते. बुद्धौ अभिव्यक्त. Okay, बुद्धौ अभिव्यक्त विज्ञान प्रकाशम. So this is what we call Chidabhasa. Buddhau abhivyakta vijnana prakasham is Chidabhasa. Buddhau abhivyakta. Let's see that first. Buddhi, in the Buddhi, Buddhau abhivyakta. That which is manifest in the Buddhi as knowledge, the light of knowing everything. That is what is the sign, the linga of Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is that which animates the chit that obtains in the form of the buddhi, often badly translated as reflected consciousness. There is no reflection here. It is as though reflected consciousness. And the medium of reflection is the buddhi mind because it is sukshma in nature. It alone is capable of allowing the consciousness to catch the consciousness and to show that this consciousness is not, this body is not separate from consciousness. So the consciousness animates in this body through the buddhi, through the sukshma accoutrements such as the mind and the buddhi. Because of the presence of the sukshma sharira, the body is animated. And then the buddhi in its turn animates the prana. The prana cannot be directly animated by the atma. This we will see in the next verse also. But for now this is important. So what is this? This vijnana prakasha, that alone urdhvam hridayat pranavrittim unnayati. Ut plus nayati takes it upwards. Upwards means it's already inside the lungs and it is thrown out upwards. Tatha apanavayu. What does it do? Pratyak means inwards. Adhaha, downwards. Asyati, kshipati. It throws the air back in, which is called for us what? Inhalation. And the other one is called prana, means exhalation. And then tam madhye, in the middle of the heart. What is the tam? Hridaya pundarika akashe. In the heart space, in the space of the heart, not the real heart, the proverbial figurative heart, means in the center here. Because if anybody says, did you do this? Are you here? Yes, I am here. This is beyond all languages, cultures, nationalities. Everybody says aham, I. They touch the chest. And this is a universal gesture. Without having a global conference, let us now please ascertain we should have the same thing, and so let us sort of say, let us all agree that this means I. We have not had such an agreement. Even without the agreement, somebody in northern Europe also will say I, somebody in southern India will also say I, somebody else in Africa also will say what? I. So this shows that there is some kind of an understanding that the center of the heart is seen as a lotus. Hrit pundarika, hridaya pundarika. What kind of a lotus? The heart lotus which opens in the light of the knowledge of the Atma as Ishvara. Until then it is a closed lotus. Closed lotus, why? Because it is awaiting the light of knowledge. The lotus only blooms in sunlight. When the sun rises and shines, the lotus blossoms. And so here also the heart, which is tightened up and closed because of what? Pain, sorrow, fear and suspicion, doubt, all these things. The light of the Shastra thaws out the suspicion and the pain and makes the heart open. That's why it is called Hrit Pundarika. And of course, another non-imaginative definition also we have, because the heart is, like a closed lotus. The shape of the heart is a closed lotus. So that is an anatomical definition. This is a Shastric, poetic definition of the heart lotus. And so, Hrit Pundarika Akashe, in the space of the heart lotus, sitting in the heart lotus is and manifest as the Buddhi, not even Buddhau, but Buddhi Rupena Abhivyakta Vijnana Prakasham, manifest not only in the Buddhi, but as the Buddhi, as the very knowing capacity. The knowing capacity of the Buddhi, Vijnana Prakasham. This is Ghataha, Ayam Ghataha. So when I say this is Ghata, that is Vijnana Prakasham. So the light of consciousness via the Buddhi blesses the sense organs, and then which in turn surrounds the object, gets the information of the object and says what? This is Ghata, this is a pot. I know pot. So like this is the operation here. And so this Buddhi, Buddhau Abhivyakta Vijnana Prakasham, this Vamanam, what is that? Sambhajaniyam, Vananiyam, the most worshipful one. Vishve means, Vishve Deva means Sarve Deva. Sarve Deva means Chakshuradayah, 5 organs of sense organs, 5 organs, Jnanendriyas, 5 organs of knowing, sense organs. Panchapranaha, Panchapranaha means the 5 pranas, all of them, the sense organs, the prana, etc., they are taking gifts to this worshipful one. Who is the worshipful one? Atma, sitting where? In the heart lotus, which is closed, waiting to be recognized. And the light of the sun is what? Shastra Pramana, handled by the Guru, waiting to be recognized. It's not that the Atma is not there. Atma is seated in the heart lotus, waiting to be recognized. And all the Devas, Devas means Dyotanatmakatvat, because they are of the shining nature, they are called Devas. And all the Devas take offerings. Just like what? Merchants, farmers go to the king and pledge allegiance and say, you are our king and we have made so much profit, this much is for the treasury. They pay tariffs, they pay taxes. And all the farmers, what do? They take a portion of the crop. So these are the merchant people are called Vishaha. So, not Vishaha, not poison, okay, not that. Vishaha, Vit, Vishau, Vishaha. Vit means trader here. So, the traders, just like the farmer also we can take, like the farmers offer their allegiance to the king by taking a portion of the crops. Because of you we are able to sit here and farm and then have a comfortable life and sell our crops, they say. And then some of it is owed to you. And similarly the merchants put in some of their profit back in the treasury, and this is the way they worship the Raja. They pledge allegiance to the Raja, without whom they could not survive. And they say, we are indebted to you. And similarly, these 5 Indriyas and 5 Pranas are pledging allegiance to who? The most worshipful one, the Atma as the truth of this body-mind-sense complex, seated in the body-mind-sense complex. And what is it doing? It is receiving these oblations. So what are the oblations we saw in the form of the merchants and the traders? We saw the oblations. They will bring some gifts, or they will bring some money, they will bring some crops. What are the Chakshuradayah? What are they offering? What are they offering? They are offering the knowledge of the form and shape. The eyes are offering. The knowledge of sound, the ears are offering. And the knowledge of touch and scent and all these. And and taste. All the 5 indriyas, that Rupadi Vijnanam. So, Rupa Vijnanena, they Balim Upaharantaha. They remain indebted to this Raja. Who is the Raja here? Atma. What kind of Atma? Yet to be recognized Atma. Or we can say in the Jnani's heart, a blossomed Atma. That also is possible. But generally speaking, yet to be recognized Atma, sitting right here in the heart, because this is part of the teaching. So even if it is the heart is blossomed, one won't know. That is the idea. So the heart is shown as closed because the sunlight of the knowledge is yet to touch it and make it alive. And so here, the Atma seated in the heart lotus, it's almost as though the sense organs of the mumukshu are what? Dedicated to finding this Atma. So what do? They bring in all the impressions, they bring in the sound, they bring in the sight, and they dedicate it to the Atma, because of which the sight took place, because of whose presence the hearing takes place. Meaning, the Chakshu dedicates everything for Chakshushash Chakshuhu. And the Shrotram dedicates everything to what? Shrotrasya Shrotram. The Shrotra dedicate everything to the ear of the ear. The eyes dedicate everything they see to the eye of the eye. And then so on. And the respiration is for whom? This one sitting in the heart lotus, the inhalation, exhalation, this is all, God engineered, and for the sake of this, the truth of this body-mind-sense complex, this all activities take place. And we can also see one more meaning, that in the mumukshu, there is a very big change. Why? Before, what would happen? Before, the sense organs would look at something, catch hold of something, and the mind would run away with it, like in the last valli, the horses. Dushtashvaha iva sarathehe. Like the ill-trained, non-domesticated wild horses, what will they do? They will quarter the rider into pieces. They will make the chariot go inside a ditch. Why? Because they don't know the road, they don't know how to drive, no values, no attitude. And also what do they have? They have the horses that are going after the sense objects. And then what happens to the chariot, and the journey collapsed in the middle of the road. And so here, for the mumukshu jignasu, these comely, well-trained, worshipful sense organs, it's not that sense organs can worship, we have to take it figuratively. These figuratively well-trained organs, they bring back whatever they have seen, and they have said, whatever I see, may it be as an offering to Bhagavan, which I need to know. This is what Ajnani or Jnani wannabe will say. May whatever I hear, this is the, figurative meaning of this. May whatever I hear be an offering to the Bhagavan I seek to understand. May whatever I touch, whatever I taste, and so on, is an offering to the Bhagavan within, which I cannot yet see, which I hope to understand. And then what happens as a result? As a result, the Indriyas have become now what? Trained. So trained Indriyas, they are offering everything back to Bhagavan, because they don't want to be sidetracked. The mind is also in service of this Bhagavan, and buddhi is also in service of this Bhagavan. There is no more distraction. This is for the one who wants to be a jnani. The one who is already a jnani, for them this yajna is already taking place. They don't even have to dedicate to Bhagavan as an act, so to speak, as a mindful act. What are they doing? They are simply allowing the sight to take place, knowing I am not the seer, Atma is the seer, I am not the hearer, I am not the object of sight, I am not the subject of sight, I am not the pramana because of which sight takes place. I am neither the drik, nor the drishya, nor the darshanam. This triputi, this triputi is gone. The triputi means these three factors which kept samsara heavily in place has disappeared. How has it disappeared? Because I no longer identify as seer. Seeing is happening as an offering to Bhagavan. This is what the jnani will say. Mumukshu will say, I want this, so therefore I am not going to put a lot of premium in the object of sight. Object of sight is worshipped as a worship dedicated to Bhagavan. Mumukshu Jignasu will say. And what does the jnani know? The jnani knows that there is no such thing called seer. Why? Because what is the seer? Truth of the seer? Okay, anything I say, the answer is Atma. Okay, yeah. What is the truth of the seer? Yeah, what is the truth of the seen, the object of sight? Atma. What is the truth of the darshan that takes place when the seer and seen come in contact with each other? What is that? Atma. So there is no seer other than Atma. There is no seen separate from Atma. Subject is Atma. Object is Atma. That which bridges the subject and object is also what? Atma. And you can do this for each and every sense organ. No hearer, no heard, no object of hearing, no agent of hearing, and nothing to bridge the subject and the object in terms of the ears. All these triputi, this triputi nasha takes place in this kind of an understanding that everything sight is happening, I am not the seer, it's all these offerings are happening, I have nothing to do with the offerer or the offering. Who am I? I am the Vananiya Vamadeva, Vamana. This is what the understanding of the jnani. So both the ways we can look at it. So Vishve Sarve Devaha Chakshuradayah Pranaha Cha Rupadi Vijnanam. Vijnanam means the knowledge of form. And for form, what else do we have to say? Rupadi. So we have to say Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, all this we have to say. Bring in all the other five, and then this Vijnanam, this Vijnana Prakasha Rupam, we saw that. So this Vijnanam, Balim Upaharantaha. Balim means like a sacrifice. So gift, like a gift. Just like the merchants and the farmers bring a gift and please the king, similarly, in order to please the king, similarly here, all of them, they are offering to this in their own way. They are offering the objects of the senses, and the sense organs themselves are offered to the Raja. Who is the Raja? Yeah, Atma. Thank God. The answer came. So then Rajanam Upasate, this is kind of their form of worship. So Tadarthyena Anuparata Vyaparaha Bhavanti Ityarthaha. Tadarthyena means this Tadhita word, Tadarthyena. Tadarthyam means for that sake alone. What is that sake? Abba. Okay, for that sake alone, for the Atma's sake alone, what is happening? Anuparata Vyaparaha. Endless Vyaparas. Because the sight, you don't even know you are seeing. You are seeing that many things at once. So many things. Like the sight is not discrete. The eyes are an amazing organ. It's an amazing jnanam. So the chakshu, the jnana, vijnana which the chakshu brings is not like, okay, now I'm looking at clock, now I'm looking at book, now I'm looking at computer, now I'm looking at the student. No. It is all at once it is happening, and so therefore it is not like stop, start, one vijnanam over, another vijnanam over. No, it is all happening yugapat. Simultaneously it is happening and endlessly it is happening. It's not like, oh, I'm very tired. Why? Because just now I saw this pot. How exhausted I am. I need to take rest before looking at this pot. I need a break. Nobody says that. Because what is happening, what is making the sight take place in this example is the inexhaustible Atma. The Atma that knows no tiredness, that is the one lighting up everything. And so anuparatah vyaparaha bhavanti. So all the transactions of the eyes, etc., take place without stopping. Like even in a kingdom, what is there? The kingdom also, the Raja, because of the Raja is there, then all the activities are happening. If the Raja leaves, it becomes a dead kingdom. So, yadarthaha yat pratyuktaha cha sarve vayu karana vyaparaha saha anyaha siddhaha iti vakyarthaha. So then, for whom yadarthaha yat prayuktascha, yadarthaha, for whose sake, yat prayuktaha cha, impelled by whom, compelled by whom. This is the Kathopanishad. Keneshitam preshitam patati manaha. That preshitam here is prayuktaha. Impelled by whom, ordered by whom, by which Bhagavan, sarve vayu karana vyaparaha. So all the vyaparas of the organs, etc., then saha anyaha siddhaha. Anyaha from what? So from the panchapranat, anyaha. From the chakshu, etc., anyaha siddhaha, meaning we have to see the purport of this. The purport of this verse. The purport of this verse is what? That the one that is worshipful and the one in whose presence and because of whose sentience and whose knowledge all the activities of the sense organs take place is not part of the assemblage of the sense organs. That is what has to be understood as Vakya Shesha Vakyartha. Okay, because it's all for the sake of the Swami. It's all for the sake of this Atma Tattva. Because, and then what else? This is also a sign of life. Breathing is a sign of life for who? Atma or the body? Body, not the Atma. Because the Atma is never connected to that. So, but it's an important sign of life for this assemblage blessed by Atma. Blessed by Atma, we see the body doing things. It gets up, it goes here, it goes there, it takes a dip in the Ganga, it takes a walk. All these things it does. Why does it do that? How does it do that? Because of the presence of Atma, which is Bhagavan, which is Vananiya. Vananiya means worshipful. So Atma is worshipful. Why? Because it is in the form of that causeless cause, as though seated in the body-mind-sense complex, animating the body-mind-sense complex. So then, so two things we have to take away from this. One, we have already seen, that which is samhata is for the sake of something that is asamhata. That which is put together is for the sake of something that is never put together, number one. Second thing we have to see is that the body is animated. How? Indirectly through prana, directly through chidabhasa. This is one more thing we see that will be clear in the next verse also. It will be made clear. Now the fourth mantra, did we just finish the third one? Yeah. The fourth mantra seems to take a little bit of a turn. And what is that turn? He talks about two things. What does he talk about? He talks about death. Okay, he talks about this body. When all these prana and everything they go away, then what happens to this body is talked about. What happens to this body, number one, and then what happens to the jiva that has departed. Why? Because the medium of animation, which is the mind, Sukshma Sharira, blessed by the consciousness, has departed. So when the mind etc. depart, the prana of course departs, and then what is the nature of this body, what is the nature of the Sukshma Sharira is talked about. It's almost as though Lord Yama is taking a break and explaining the third boon to Nachiketa, how it was originally worded. How was it originally worded? Ya iyam vichikitsa ete asti iti eke nasti iti cha eke. Ya iyam vichikitsa manushye means with pertaining to the human beings there is this vichikitsa, doubt. There are two pakshas. Some people say that the jiva survives death. Other people say the jiva also bye-bye, therefore there is no accountability. There is no personal accountability, and if there is no accountability, then you don't have to do anything that is good. You can just be bad all the time, because what is the point? No accountability. So all this is there, is there life after this life? All this Nachiketa asks before he rewords it, and it's almost like Lord Yama takes a little detour and then talks about this particular question. Asya visram samanasya sharirasthasya dehinaha dehad vimuchyamanasya kimatra parishishyate etat vaitat. Asya, for this what? What is called this? Body. So, for this body and also the one occupying this body. Who is that? Don't say Atma, Jiva. Yeah. Atma in the form of Jiva, the one that has felt alienated, and then the one that is identified with everything finite. And then this Dehin is called, is what? Visram Samanaha. Srams. First conjugation, Atmanepada. Sramsate. Where have we heard this? Gandivam samsrate hastas tvakchaiva paridahyate. Which Valli? Kathopanishad? No? First chapter, Bhagavad Gita. There he said, Srams we know means to slip. The Gandiva, the bow, slips from my hand. Why? Because I am stressed out, exhausted, afraid, and therefore the hands are perspiring. The bow on its own is slipping from the hand. Samsrate, slips from the hand. Hastat sramsate. And here what? The Dehin, the Sukshma Sharira avachinna Chaitanya, the Chaitanya that is as though associated with the Sukshma Sharira, also what? Sramsate, Visramsate, Visheshena Sramsrate. Because if it was just Sramsate, then you can pick it up, you can wipe your hands and pick up the bow again. Visramsate, tata, not coming back to that same body. That the Upasarga gives the flavor of a final sramsa, final slippage. It's not like, ooh, I slipped up, okay, let me just get my footing and come back again. No. Let me balance myself. No, not at all. And so, what is the What is the teaching here? Visram samanaha. When? All the time. Present continuous. All the time, slipping, waiting to slip. Is who? Sharirasthasya. All this is adjectival for dehin. The dehin here is Sukshma Sharira Avachinna Chaitanya. The Chaitanya that is obtaining in the Sukshma Sharira as the Sukshma Sharira, conditioned by the Sukshma Sharira, here is called dehin. So Sharirasthasya Asya Visram Samanasya, all what is that? Qualifying dehinaha. All of them are in apposition, same case, number, gender. So for this embodied one who has been given a body, and for this embodied one, who is the embodied one? Jiva. Who has been given a body, which is what kind of who is the indweller of this body? What kind of a body? The one that keeps slipping, or the one who keeps slipping from the body. That is a better translation, I think. So, dehat, from the body, vimuchyamanasya, the one that is freed from the body, detached from the body, gets detached from the body, it gets attached to the body and then gets detached from the body. Kimatra parishishyate. So, when the body is left behind, what is available? What is left? Nothing. Akshepārthe kim. It's a rhetorical question. It doesn't expect an answer. What's left? Meaning what? Nothing. So this is what happens. You have something nice to eat and then you call up a friend. Come, let's eat this together. And by the time you go, what is left? Nothing. Yeah, that is what it means here. Nothing is left. When the Atma itself, then the Sukshma Sharira, blessed by Atma, and the Atma itself has, as though the Sukshma Sharira has taken with it the animating principle. Atma is still there, obtaining as the dead body, but it is not an animated body, it's an insentient body. And this mantra, very beautiful mantra to show how the Atma shines differently in sentient and insentient objects or presences. In an insentient presence, like see, so many things are there around us, they are all it is all Atma only. It is all Atma. But then we don't see it slip. We don't see the objects slip. We don't see the objects come alive. Neither do we see them die. But here we see the Sukshma Sharira depart. The moment of the departure of the Sukshma Sharira is clocked by the doctors as time of death. It is written in the death certificate, time of death. Why? Because that is the departing of the prana. In the olden days, they would keep a mirror, a metal reflective piece under the nostrils, and if it condenses and if it sweats on the surface, okay, the person is still alive. If nothing happens, no breath, because the breath is very subtle, especially in a dying person, and so no breath. And so therefore the determination of death is what? The definition of death is coincides with the departure of the Sukshma Shariram. Sukshma Sharira not there, so the Atma in the form of the animated self not there. Atma still is there, as a latent presence it is there. How? We will see that tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om